I don't know if you can see it in the corner. He sent me a vegetable grinder because the meat grinder didn't fit.
That's awesome.
Is that is it a vegetable grinder that you're using?
No, and I didn't use the sausage grinder either. But the joke about my live show is it's the opportunity to watch the sausage get made because it's not the real show; it's the making of the show.
Sure, yeah, GDI, we know it well.
Yeah, exactly.
Dumb question: what kind of vegetables get ground?
Well, I think it's like for spiral cut on.
Oh, I see.
Stuff.
It's not like
yeah.
Making dust out of.
So like curly fries.
You do cauliflower though,
right? True.
Rice out of cauliflower.
That's true.
Pretend rice.
Cauliflower, very versatile.
Mixed bag depending on how it's cooked.
I love it
with broccoli.
A good
cauliflower.
Yeah,
I love broccoli
with some curry on it. Yum yum.
I love spinach. I gotta limit my intake.
Have you guys ever been to Mastro's Steakhouse?
No.
There's a couple of them in LA. A friend of mine had a birthday last night, and there's a location in Malibu. It's really fun. Like not fancy, but a nice steakhouse night type thing. But they have a live band. It's a whole thing. And there was some creamed spinach, which normally I'd be like, but you know, at a steakhouse, sometimes you just can't say no. Boy, was it good.
Cream spinach. It's the cream that makes it so good.
And the spinach too, though. They complement each other well.
Steve is still in IRC chat room.
This just backfired. Wikipedia just sent me an email titled "Deleting Wikipedia," and it's really just an email saying, "Hey, you've donated to Wikipedia before. Would you mind donating again? Because if it's not, it's like you're deleting Wikipedia." I'm like, no. See, now I don't want to donate.
One of the things I liked was he only bothers me once a year.
Yeah.
I did it a year ago, and they said, hey, that was really cool how you did that. Can you do it again? It's the ones where you donate, and like 20 minutes later, they ask you for money again. Right. Steve is saying there's still an IRC chat as well?
Yeah. No, irc.chatroom.net still kicking.
Oh, I didn't install any IRC apps on here, so I'm not.
Go to it in the browser. That'll work.
Oh, look at you. IRC.chatroom.net.
Huh. Yeah, everyone sends.
Look at that. It's exciting.
All right.
Oh, pretty in the browser. Except it's clicking.
What's clicky?
It's making little click noises every time somebody talks.
I think Sarah may have had something happen. She seems frozen.
Uh-oh.
Listen, folks, if you're going to have technical issues, can you be like Allison and have them like a half hour before the show, not right at showtime? Just, plan better for your technical issues.
Oh, yeah, she is frozen. Oh, jeez. I got lost.
Well, hold on. I have a technical issue.
Tom?
No, I left my phone in the other room, which might be handy to have for communicating. Be right back. Hopefully Sarah will be back by the time I'm here too.
Okay. Zoe, how do I make it stop clicking in the web interface? It's popping every time a message comes through. And I tried to go look at the settings, and then I got logged out accidentally. Okay, I'm going to try it again, but I might get lost again. Click the menu settings, messages, box for sound. Okay. Settings.
I need to get a different mailbox.
Desktop notification.
Is it just not big enough?
Oh, there it is.
Oh, we see Sarah.
Hi. Yeah, sorry about that. As long as it's just so weird. It's so funny. You guys just
And we
Speaking
still sound
very-
low to you?
Hmm?
We
Do
still
we still sound low?
Yeah, I mean, I can kind of hear you, but it's. You know what I'm going to do? Let me swap out these headphones.
Okay, maybe it's the headphones.
131.
I mean, I could do it headphone free, but then I'm afraid you guys will hear feedback.
Yeah, don't do that.
Yeah, that's possible. How about now?
I was just kidding.
Oh, stop it.
All right, can you hear us now?
Never
Sarah?
gets old,
I
right?
can hear you enough to do the show. Let's do it.
Okay. All right.
Sorry
30
about that.
seconds. We'll do the show then. That's okay with everyone else. I'm going to record in the right audio hijack window today.
Oh, good.
As a little treat. All right. 10 seconds. Everyone ready? Please take a deep breath. Consult your inner chi. Adjust your aura. 4, 3, 2, 1. Thanks to everyone who supports Daily Tech News Show directly. To find out more, you can be one of them. Head to dailytechnewsshow.com/support. This is the Daily Tech News for Monday. No, it's not. It's the Daily Tech News for Tuesday, October 30th, 2018 in Los Angeles. I'm Tom Merritt.
And from Studio Feline, I'm Sarah Lane.
And Allison Sheridan from the House of Destruction in Los Angeles. I'm Allison Sheridan.
And I'm the show's producer, Roger Chang.
Wow, House of Destruction. The tale of your remodels are legend. You've been broadcasting your podcast from a different room every day, as I understand it, practically.
I can figure. I think I'm on move 4 of my studio, so I'm kind of like a MASH unit now.
Yeah, the MAP Mobile Army Podcasting Hospital.
It's super lean now, though. I know what I actually need because there's like these 12 things and everything else I can unplug and plug my desk in just like that.
Well, folks, we are here to tell you the tech news in spite of all of this. Let's start with a few tech things you should know.
Apple had an event today. Perhaps you heard about it. The company announced a MacBook Air with Retina display and Touch ID.
You know what, let's just start this whole show over because you got way crunchy there.
Oh.
Can you talk a little more, Sarah?
Nope, she can't talk at all now.
Now we can't hear it.
Hold on. Okay. Now.
You're still crunchy.
I'm glad you stopped it, though.
Yeah, that was one that was just not gonna.
How's it sound now?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Sorry, y'all.
Energy again.
Here we go. The problem was using the word chi. I'm pretty sure that's what caused the issue. Oh, here we go. 3, 2, 1. This is the Daily Tech News for Tuesday, October 30th, 2018 in Los Angeles. I'm Tom Merritt.
And from Studio Feline, I'm Sarah Lane.
And coming from Los Angeles in the House of Destruction, I'm Allison Sheridan.
And I'm the show's producer, Roger Chang.
House of Destruction. Your remodel has become legend. I hear you do the podcast from a different room every day.
Pretty much. I'm a MASH unit. I can just unplug and plug my dock in. I got diagrams to put it all back together. I can just do it like this.
It's a MAPS unit, Mobile Allison Podcasting Studio.
There you go. That's what it feels like.
All right, we got a lot to talk about. Let's start with a few tech things you should know.
At its hardware event today, Apple announced quite a few things. A MacBook Air with Retina display and Touch ID. Also a Mac Mini with up to 2 terabytes of storage and 64 gigs of RAM. And an iPad Pro with USB-C instead of a Lightning port, also Face ID, but no home button or headphone jack, and a new A12 Bionic processor. All 3 new items are available now to order, shipping starting November 7th. There's also a new Apple Pencil that can charge while magnetically attached to the new iPad Pro, a new keyboard attachment, and iOS 12.1 is out. Perhaps you've heard. New emoji, among lots of other things. We'll talk a little bit more about those other things and Apple's events later on in the show.
Well, Signal released a beta test of a feature for its messaging app called Sealed Sender. It encrypts most of the plain text header information, so only the recipient can be logged as metadata. This would make it more difficult for Signal to comply with some warrants, as it would have to update a user's software to be able to see all the metadata.
Interesting way of defending. And the U.S. Department of Commerce has restricted U.S. companies from selling parts and software to China's Fujian Xinhua over national security concerns. The company makes memory chips and devices, and U.S. companies wanting to sell to it now need a license. The Commerce Department says the restriction is meant to limit a threat to the supply chain for essential components in military systems. Reports say Fujian Xinhua is accused of stealing intellectual property from U.S. company Micron. All right, let's talk a little bit more about good news for Nintendo, Allison.
The Nintendo Switch sold 3.19 million units last quarter for a total of 22.86 million Switches sold. That actually puts it in front of the 6-year run of the GameCube in lifetime sales, even though the Switch has only been out since March of 2017. Overall revenue for Nintendo was 221 billion yen, up 1 billion year over year. And the holiday quarter will see the release of Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu, and Eevee.
Yeah, so they didn't have that many big first-party titles this past quarter that they're reporting on, so that bodes well for the holiday quarter. There's also some third-party titles coming out in the holiday quarter. All in all, rosy picture for Nintendo based on the strong continued insurgency of the Nintendo Switch.
What is it about the Switch? What makes it so popular?
I think
portable?
Yeah, I think the fact that it's portable and a good game console, Nintendo has never had to be the best, most powerful game console. So the fact that it's not as powerful as a PS4 doesn't matter to people. They're like, yeah, the Wii wasn't either, but we love the Wii. It's the form factor and the titles. We can play Mario, we can play Zelda, and it's a good form factor, unlike the Wii U, which no one understood. They're like, I have this big tablet, but I don't know what to do with it. The Switch is just a tablet.
Okay.
Well, and I mean, I know, not having played it myself personally, but Super Smash Brothers, highly anticipated. It seems to me, especially because you see, such a spike in sales, particularly with Nintendo in the holiday season, that they're going to have another good quarter ahead.
Yeah.
Speaking of good quarters, Sony's Q2 profit rose 17%, driven by gaming, which rose particularly 65%. The company also raised its annual profit forecast by 30%, so it's feeling pretty good about the future. Sony expects annual operating profit of 870 billion yen. That beats analyst expectations of 796 billion yen. 310 billion yen of that would come from gaming, driven by online, and the success of games like God of War and Spider-Man. Sony's semiconductor division expects a yearly increase of 17% to 140 billion yen. And of note, Sony controls more than half of the image sensor market currently, so they're in a good place there. And obviously, demand has stayed at least pretty good. The only downside with the smartphone business, which is on course to lose 95 billion yen. So not all rosy, but overall a pretty good quarter for Sony. The company intends to scale down smartphones, but not exit the market entirely.
It's interesting to me they didn't even bring up like televisions. Like they don't even make the list of things up or down anymore.
Sorry, say that again.
They didn't bring up televisions. Right. I mean, so the smartphone business
it's no longer Sony's bread and butter.
We didn't bring up televisions.
Oh, okay.
Just now.
Sorry.
I did not go look up the television sales. Sony television sales haven't been neither stellar nor awful, which is why I didn't include them here. I apologize for leaving that out.
Oh, sorry. I was thinking maybe they make so little difference in the number that they aren't of note anymore.
Yeah. I mean, I jokingly call Sony semiconductor or sensor company Sony because it's the image sensor sales that have really been the thing that leads the way for Sony. On the other hand, this quarter and these projections, I might jokingly call it a gaming company because gaming is leading the way. Don't forget Sony Pictures Entertainment often is showing up as one of the most positive things in these earnings as well, depending on how well the Sony Pictures movies are doing. So just because we didn't mention it doesn't mean it's doing badly. It's just that sensors, gaming, those are the big things, and smartphones definitely not the big thing.
Okay, sorry to mislead then.
Well, I mean, there was a time that Sony was, I mean, at least, what I was buying, like the coolest TV ever, it was like, you get a Sony television, right? And the market is just different now. It's Sony, what gets highlighted in a quarterly earnings for Sony is not what would have gotten highlighted 10 years ago. So it's interesting to see that market shift. And also interesting that Sony is not exiting the smartphone market, but certainly saying, listen, we're not putting a lot of R&D behind this right now because we've got other aspects of our business that are doing quite well.
Yeah. Let's move on to Twitter. Twitter released data showing that since it increased the character count of posts to 280, only 1% of tweets reach the limit, and 12% are longer than the old limit of 140. Only 5% are longer than 190 characters. Before the limit, the most common length of a tweet was 34 characters. Now, after the increase, the most common length is 33 characters.
That's so weird.
Yeah. So, I mean, you could say, oh, it went down, but it pretty much just didn't change. 34, 33, that's margin of error, right? Twitter did note there are fewer abbreviations. So GR8 for great is down 36%. B and the number 4 for before is down 13%. While the spelling out the word great is now up 32% and spelling out before is up 70%. Also, they note the use of the word please has risen 54% and the use of the word thank you has risen 22%. Whether that's satirical or not is impossible to say without sentiment analysis. However, overall tweets are receiving more replies, so it seems like raising the character count really just had an impact on abbreviations. People stopped abbreviating things, but otherwise mostly wrote what they would have written anyway.
Well, we've been trying to find ways to increase civil discourse. Apparently, we just needed more characters to do it. That's all that was really necessary, right?
Yeah, I was one of those people when Twitter decided to expand the character limit. It's like, oh, I remember the good old days when it was 140 or nothing. You just had to figure it out. Like brevity. Yeah. And GR, the number 8 for great. However, it is kind of freeing to not have to think about that as much. And I've definitely run across that, especially when I just wanted like write a whole sentence. And maybe that sentence is long. So yeah, the difference between having to save a few characters by using kind of, weird text, leet speak, whatever you want to call it, and not having to do that at least as much is kind of nice. It is interesting to me, though, that even though Twitter said, okay, you now have twice as many characters as you had before, that really tweets are still quite short. Now, Twitter has also introduced over the years, and this isn't new, but a link that you add is not included in your character limit, and the company has made it easier to get your point across while also adding media to your tweet. So that's a little bit of it as well. But
oh yeah,
it's I guess the old school person in me is sort of happy that things haven't changed too much at Twitter.
I love the idea of data analysts who went to got a master's in data analysis, and they're sitting there counting how many times did people spell it GR8.
Yeah, I mean that's just a database search, right? Like,
yeah.
Let's.
I also love the stat of please and thank you. I'm sure some people are just being polite and great. Politeness is on the rise. Sounds great, but it's like, what were those tweets actually saying? Are you really thanking somebody? Are you quoting a movie? I don't know.
Well, moving along, Uber announced a subscription service called Ride Pass. For a monthly fee, all rides have a flat rate, which Uber estimates will save riders 15% on monthly travel. The app will also keep tabs on how much you've saved. Drivers get paid the usual rates. The plan costs $15 a month in Austin, Orlando, Denver, and Miami, but where we live, $25 a month in Los Angeles, where it also includes free bike and scooter access.
And I've really been looking into this stuff because I have a car lease that's up in March, and I'm really trying to weigh my options because getting another lease would be the most expensive option that I could choose. But then it, affords you some flexibility that is important to me. I have a dog too. And I don't know how many Ubers want my dog in the back seat, but this is interesting, especially because surge pricing is that's a real problem for me, depending on the time of day, because I live in LA. So this is not as affordable as it would be if I lived in Austin. But $25 a month for something that is never going to spike during surge pricing, that would save me a lot of money. I've taken a trip from, one side of the city to the other, at off-peak times, for, I don't know, $15. And during peak time for like 50. It really makes a difference if you're riding Uber a lot,
Yeah.
or any ride-hailing service.
This is really for people who just use Uber all the time in
Yeah.
a city. Because if I travel to Las Vegas, this plan isn't going to help me, right? Like, and I generally end up using Uber and Lyft when I travel. So it's an unusual thing for people to benefit from this plan, especially because Uber's covering the differential of the cost by giving a flat rate out to people. So you're paying, and then you're paying for each ride. It's not like you get the rides for free. It's not an all-you-can-eat subscription.
Right.
And so Uber must think it's going to make more money in people paying for a plan that doesn't end up saving them money, or they wouldn't do it. So it really always, these kinds of things sound like a bad deal to me.
Well, I think, Tom, you and I are the same, that we mostly use it on travel. But I think, like Sarah mentions, a lot of people are just not having cars now, or sending I know people who send their kids to school. They go in Ubers. That's how they do it. So if you can corner them to say, oh, well, it's better for me I've already got this pass. Let me use Uber instead of Lyft, or Uber instead of hitching a ride with somebody else that might be less convenient. So you would probably get more rides from someone who had this pass.
Again, I'm not saying you couldn't benefit from it, but Uber wouldn't be putting in place if they didn't think most people won't benefit from it, because it wouldn't be making any money otherwise.
But if they do more rides, they make it up in volume.
That's unassailable logic.
Had to happen.
Canada's Interaction introduced an update to its meditation assistant called Muse that you wear like a headband. It monitors brain waves to give you feedback as you meditate. The Muse 2 arrived Tuesday with the addition of heart rate and body movement monitoring, as well as a dashboard to track progress. The Muse 2 costs $249.
So those apps on your watch, like Apple has one called Breathe, and there are others out there for various watches that kind of remind you to relax. They're various ones. Some are full on meditation. Others are like the Apple one, is just kind of a light version of meditation. This is for somebody who's really trying to double down on it. And from what I've read, they definitely help focus you, but they can also be distracting because they play sounds. And if your mind starts to wander and it notices an increase in brainwave activity, it'll play the sound louder to kind of drown out your thoughts, I guess, which sounds distracting to me. But I thought it was interesting as a different kind of wearable.
I think it's, I love the idea that you're trying to be mellow and really, meditate and Zen and all that. And you're dealing with metrics about whether you're doing it correctly. I mean, that's what I'd love. But then again, I don't meditate because I like being.
Yeah. I don't know enough about meditation to know if, this would, the headband idea, this seems like probably it's convenient to wear, but isn't meditation, it's in the eye of the beholder a bit? I don't know that there's a wrong way to meditate as long as you're finding the Zen within yourself.
Yeah, I don't think this is about some mystical process that you have to get right. It's about can you get it to help you relax?
Right.
And usually that's just deep breathing and trying to clear your mind. And what this does is it monitors that and says, hey, you're on the right track, keep going. And it is trying to keep you in a relaxed frame of mind. So it may help. It's also a headband you have to put on that's going to leave a mark on your head for 20 minutes. So don't do it right before you have a presentation or something, even though you need to relax.
Do and be like, I am ready for this presentation.
Yeah,
I've been meditating. See?
on my head. By the way, Allison, I was able to find the TV sales fell 25% compared to last year. So not great, actually.
No.
Not as bad as the phones, but not great.
I have a beautiful Sony UHD TV that I love, but I think I'm the only one who bought one.
Yeah, it's LG, Samsung. They're
TCL
these days. Yeah,
TCL's taken over
in the budget area. Vizio. Oh, yeah. Folks, if you want to get all the tech headlines each day in about 5 minutes, be sure to subscribe to dailytechheadlines.com. So, as Sarah mentioned at the top of the show, Apple had their big announcement today: new iPad Pro, new Mac Mini, and a MacBook Air. 3 products that took them 90 minutes to announce, plus a few other announcements. There's, things that we didn't mention. There is a new AMD Radeon Pro Vega graphics option for the MacBook Pro coming November 14th. Supposedly it'll give you a 60% boost on performance. Blackmagic is putting out a new enclosure for using the Radeon Pro Vega as an external GPU with your MacBook Pros. The dual SIM is got problems if you're on Verizon in the US. You can have a dual SIM where one SIM is the primary and the other is the secondary. Verizon's hard SIM, not the eSIM, but the actual card, doesn't do well in the United States on secondary. It drops you down to 2G. So that's something to know. Verizon hopes that can get fixed soon. Those are just minor things, though. But
let me interject one thing. When you brought up the eGPUs, those also work on the MacBook Air.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sure.
Okay.
No, I wasn't trying to give an exhaustive list of every item it worked with. I just said it would, it would work the max. But let's start with that. Is that one of the things that you're excited about? Is the MacBook Air?
Actually, yeah, I did want to make fun of Tim Cook first, because even though I have an ever so slight Apple bias, I did think it was comical how excited he tried to get us that they put a Retina display in it. Retina display.
Well, I mean, that is exciting, because that's what kept me from buying a MacBook Air when I got my last Pro, is because I had already seen the Retina and I just couldn't go back. And it surprises me it took them this long.
100%. But it took so long. I mean, Retina was coined 8 years ago. 6 years ago, it went into the 12-inch, was the first time it was introduced in a Mac. So, of course, they needed to do it. But I mean, he was like, ta-da! Like he, invented fire.
We're late.
Can I admit something that may be embarrassing?
Yeah.
I didn't watch.
Okay.
Well,
let me get you excited then.
If I might embarrass myself as well, and I did headlines this morning, which was extremely Apple event based. I didn't watch either, because I preferred to watch the live blogs, because it was better use of my time for information. Yeah,
no, absolutely. And it paid off. I was a little worried that there might be something really cool that happened on stage, but it sounds like really it was these are just spec announcements for the Mac Mini and the MacBook Air, and they're interesting. The Mac Mini is 4 years old.
Fun stuff. You guys are sucking all the fun out here, guys. Come on. No, there was some really cool stuff. Okay, let's go through this. The things that aren't just spec bumps. One of the biggest things about the MacBook Air I thought was interesting was that they put Touch ID in it, but did not put the Touch Bar in it.
Mm-hmm.
So that it used to be Touch Bar was the only.
Well, nobody really likes
ID.
the Touch Bar except me.
One new spec was added, but not another. Got it.
Okay. How about the fact that it's 100% recycled aluminum, and so are the Mac Minis. And the way they get the metal to do that is by when they're grinding out the iPads. So they're making so many iPads that the leftover shrapnel of aluminum is being used to make MacBook Airs and Mac Minis.
I mean,
I thought that was cool.
There's no way I'm going to be like, that's not cool. That is cool.
I think that's cooler when you see it on a presentation than when you hear about it.
No, they didn't show it.
I think it's still interesting. Yeah.
I thought it was amazing.
Doesn't affect my purchase decision, though.
Okay.
Keep it coming.
Okay. Yeah. Keep going, Allison. We're playing devil's advocate here. We're all very excited.
Shoot it in. Part of the reason is I didn't get to the end. I said it's mostly spec bumps for the Mac Mini and the MacBook Air. iPad Pro, I think, is a significant product. I think this is an impressive product because it's well, I could be snarky with myself and say, well, these are all just specs. It's a new chip. It's Face ID. It's it's a significantly smaller form factor. It's a much improved keyboard. Even though the Pencil is more expensive and you have to buy it just for the iPad Pro, the new one, the fact that it's magnetic and seems like it locks pretty solid and charges while it's connected, I think is fantastic. So the iPad Pro is the one that really caught my eye out of these announcements.
Yeah.
I was the most excited about the Mac Mini, to be honest, because I've been thinking about getting one, but they were so long in the tooth before. I kept holding out because I actually think that having a Mac Mini rather than the setup that I have currently will free up a lot of desk space for me. And actually, 2 terabytes of storage is that's actually going to be super helpful for a lot of projects that I do. And $800, it's not nothing, but that is in my wheelhouse of affordability. And I was most excited about that because I got an external monitor that I'm not using. And the MacBook Air, probably not going to get one. Although if I do go back to the Air, because I'm currently using the Pro, it's more attractive than ever. The iPad Pro, though, it's turning into a device that I do not need, but I really want.
At the risk of being told it was dumb, the 2 things I thought were interesting on the iPad Pro, the 10.5-inch iPad Pro became an 11-inch screen, but kept the same external size.
Mm-hmm.
And the bigger iPad, they took the 12.9-inch screen. It's still a 12.9-inch screen, but it's 15% thinner and 25% less volume. So a lot of people like the 12.9-inch size when they're using it, but it's a pain to carry around. 25% less volume, that's going to be huge to me. The 12.9 is my iPad of choice. Being able to go down in size and keep that huge screen is going to be huge to me.
Yeah.
Puns intended. The other thing, you mentioned Face ID, but it's not just Face ID, Tom. It's Face ID in all 4 orientations. It's not just people were worried maybe just be in portrait mode, which would have been stupid.
Mm-hmm.
And yet a lot of people use it to read magazines and to read comic books in that mode. Now it's in landscape, but this was better on video. They showed them rotating it and going like, it doesn't matter what you do with it. It's always right side up. So all 4 orientations is huge. What I wanted to ask you guys, they said it was that the new MacBook, iPad Pro, I should say, is faster than 92% of PCs, including i7s. And I wanted to ask you,
well, in what capacity? You know, like what are the details of that?
is it faster than an Xbox? The
Right.
Xbox One.
I thought you said it was faster than
He said it was the
PC
iPad
laptops.
He said it was as powerful as the Xbox One S. The
Faster,
GPU.
but anyway, on that order anyway. I thought that was pretty amazing.
Yeah, I mean, those kind of comparisons I'm always skeptical of because there's lots of ways to slice those numbers that don't look as nice. But the comparison to the Xbox One S, I think, is the one that's fair. To say like, hey, this tablet computer is the same as a game console, which is a good way of kind of trying to boost your game cred. To say like, if you've been thinking of your iPad as a way to play games, but you're like, man, but it's not as powerful. Well, guess what? It is as powerful as this particular game console. So that's a good comparison to me. I don't think that the iPad Pro is necessarily the most powerful, saying it's more powerful than 92% of PCs, maybe an irrelevant stat, because if I want a more powerful PC at close to the same size as a laptop, I can get it. I can get a more powerful Surface. The Surface, arguably is cheaper for the power, depending on how you configure it. All of that stuff is just, that's when you want to win an argument against your friend. You come up with those stats. All I care about is, can it do the thing I want to do? And the iPad Pro looks like it does a lot more things.
Mhm.
It's interesting that it's in that league.
What's that?
It's interesting to me that it's even in that league to have that kind of a debate. And
Yeah,
and
I think that's more important than trying to come up with stats. Is this is a more credible laptop replacement than an iPad has ever been in the past.
another thing they said was that you can drive an external display with it.
Yeah, because it's USB-C. That's the biggest. I think that was the one thing that caught my eye out of this whole announcement is finally we're getting USB-C in an Apple product. And maybe we can all someday just live on the same port surface, and I can have one charger in every room and everything connects by USB-C and everything interconnects, rather than having the dongle verse we live in now.
Well, I thought it was interesting too, in the context of before the show, we were talking about how I'm using a little USB device called a Luna that allows me to use my iPad as a display, but I get the new iPad Pro, it's the other way around. It's the processor in the computer, and I'm going to use my display as a second display. I thought that was interesting. And I did think you mentioned it. The fact that it does magnetic charging is really cool, but it's really cool in the context of not really stupid to walk around with an iPad with a pencil sticking out of the side.
Yeah.
That makes it way cooler.
And I get the impression, because of the number of magnets they have in there, that it will stick pretty well versus the original Surface Book that I had. That it had a magnet for its stylus, but it fell off all the time. And, a nice stiff wind would blow it off. So this looks like it's better. We'll see how it ends up in testing. But it is annoying that you can't use the pencil if you already bought the pencil from the old one on the new one. I hate it when you don't have cross compatibility, but it sounds like it might be worth it this time.
Wait a minute. Did they say you can't use the old one on the new one?
I guess it's the other way around. You can't use the Pencil 2 on the previous iPads.
Right. And there's something about
You
double
also can't magnet charge and attach your old pencil to the new iPad.
Yeah, you would have no way to charge it at all. In fact, is there any way to charge it other than through the iPad?
I mean, you guys are really missing the most exciting part of the event today, and that's that iOS 12.1 finally is going to allow group FaceTime for up to 32 people.
Sorry. Yeah. No,
I mean,
we buried the lead.
When's the party?
The 35-person FaceTime party, you mean?
Well, when the 32, Tom, don't be stupid. When they came up with the announcement that was coming out, that was right when the Apple Mail servers went down, and I thought I can't really afford to try to do an update to 12.1 right before going on the show, so I did not do that yet. But I'm actually
me
really
either.
looking forward to it, and the main reason is for audio. So Steve and I cram into the little screen on my phone to look at our grandson. And when he talks, it's about 8,000 decibels to me because it's right next to my ear.
Yeah, right.
And me to him. So it'd be really nice to be on separate phones. I am super looking forward to multiple people, possibly not 32 though.
Well, very cool.
Yeah, lots of Apple announcements today. Hopefully the company's done for the year. My goodness. Thanks to everybody who participates in our subreddit. I'm just kidding, Apple people. Just kidding. If you have Apple stories or any other story at all, you know what you do? Submit those stories and vote on others at dailytechnewsshow.reddit.com. Also on Facebook at facebook.com/groups/dailytechnewsshow.
What's in the mailbag, Sarah?
Oh, glad you asked, Tom. Aaron actually added some perspective on practical app access via subscription. We were talking about the idea of Google possibly adding a subscription model to Google Play. Aaron says, I use Amazon's free time subscription for my family currently, provides apps, books, videos, and content controls. The interesting thing about the Android and Amazon app experiences is that most of the apps are supported by advertising. Highly off-putting, especially because the contents of advertisements can't be chosen or monitored like the apps themselves can. One of the primary benefits of the subscription is the content and experience management. There are no advertisements in the subscription apps. There can be in-app purchases. Applications seem to be better vetted for content stability. Along with the Fire 10 tablets, price, and performance value, it makes for a good experience for our needs as a family. I'd be curious to see if Google is aiming for something similar or taking another approach. Aaron says, it's effective for integrating people into your ecosystem. I really didn't want to be in the Amazon ecosystem. I prefer Google Home and the Chromecast and Google Home Minis. I don't like that I can't integrate the two. However, I'm about to purchase more smart home devices like a camera and a doorbell and the like. Unfortunately, it seems that I'll have to choose an ecosystem. Odd as it seems, though, the Amazon FaceTime subscription, or free time subscription rather, has introduced a consideration for the Amazon ecosystem I would not have previously entertained.
Interesting take and an interesting comparison of that Amazon ecosystem as potentially a sort of roadmap for what Google might do.
Yeah, thanks so much, Aaron. Really good feedback. And thanks also to Allison Sheridan for being back on the show. Even though your house is in upheaval, you always bring the knowledge. Let folks know where they can keep up with your work.
Well, I'm over at podfeet.com. I have many podcasts there. And one of the things I wanted to make sure Tom heard about in particular, and everybody, the latest episode of Chit Chat Across the Pond Light was with a former NASA engineer named Darren Beyer, who is now turned into a science fiction author. He's written 2 of his 4 books of the Ngazi series. And his tagline is bring science back to science fiction.
Nice. I love that. I can't wait to listen.
Super cool to talk to him about his time as a NASA engineer. Was absolutely amazing. Really, really cool.
Sounds really fun. Go check it out, folks, podfeet.com. And also check out patreon.com/DTNS. We have a special bonus post from ThreatWire today. Shannon Morse at ThreatWire has an extended explanation, both in audio and in text, about the exemptions to the DRM from the U.S. Library of Congress. So if you're a subscriber over there, at any level, you can take a listen or read that at patreon.com/DTNS.
If you have feedback for us, guess what? We have an email address. It's feedback@dailytechnewsshow.com. We're also live Monday through Friday at 4:30 p.m. Eastern, 2030 UTC. And you can find out more at dailytechnewsshow.com/live.
And by the way, that Shannon Morse that I was just mentioning, she's on the show tomorrow.
Woo!
This show is part of the Frog Pants Network. Get more at frogpants.com.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.
I wasn't trying to take the wind out of your sails, Allison. I was just more excited about the iPad Pro, and I was trying to get us to that.
Okay, totally did. I mean,
I apologize.
Oh,
I
think we were able to cover lots of good specs collectively as a team.
I mentioned this in the Slack, but I'm really excited about the chip inside the iPad Pro, because that just lends a little more faith that Apple can make a conversion away from Intel into their in-house chips and not suffer any sort of performance penalty.
Yeah, I didn't get a chance to show. They had a I normally don't like the gaming stuff, but they showed a basketball game that was phenomenal. I mean, it was video. It was live video. I mean, that was not animated. It was amazing. And then I really don't like Adobe at all, but they showed they took a
the Adobe demo is pretty sweet. Photoshop.
Yeah, how many layers deep was that? It's like 1,000 layers.
1,000 layers,
and then they brought it up in AR. They brought it up in
1024.
AR and had butterflies flying around in this multi-layer document on an iPad. It was insane.
It was the same thing they showed off at Adobe Max.
Yeah,
but they just weren't able to show it on the new iPad Pro, I don't think, when they were showing it off there. So it was on a much nicer piece of hardware.
But just being able to manipulate that many layers, even if that's a pretty big size to manipulate and have it work that quickly on a.
Yeah, that's not real software yet. I mean, they certainly were doing a live demo, I believe that, but they're saying sometime in 2019.
Yeah. So wait, the basketball thing was a game?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right.
They were playing a video game that was. I mean, did you see that, Roger?
Yes.
It was crazy.
Well, this is one of the great things about basketball is with a lot of the specular lighting, it looked pretty real back in the Xbox 360 PS3 days, and it's gotten to a level of fidelity that's pretty like, wow, I'm playing a game. But sucks is all the controls you have to do to pass and do all the other stuff. Like it gets
it might be a sucky game.
No, it's not that it's a sucky game. It gets more complicated. Like football used to be fun when you had the little LED football from Mattel, right? You just pass and then you run it down. Now they use every conceivable button and buttons on the controller to play. And if you're really into football, it's awesome. But if you just want to play like maybe a quarter or whatever, it's so hard to jump in. It's not like you sit down and you can start playing. You really have to learn it.
I was just excited by the graphics. I thought it was looked really good. All right, well, I got to get going. I got to pack to leave this house of hell. I'm sorry.
Thank you so much for being on today.
Thanks, Allison. Good to see you.
All right, bye.
Bye.
Oh, you can Uber.
Yeah, what do we got for titles?
Title time.
I like Apple's done for the year, or is done. Should be the year, but
well,
no, you don't think they're done?
Well, I mean, I jokingly said I hope they're done, just because I'm tired of Apple announcements. Not that I'm tired of Apple products, I'm just tired of Apple announcements. But I don't know. I mean, do you guys like that one?
There's also iUSB-C. What you did there, Apple? Yeah, I see what you iUSB-C. No, not clever enough.
No, I like that one.
Okay,
that's a good one.
Done.
Like dinner.
Dinner?
Done.
Oh, done like dinner.
What about some Linner?
Lunch and dinner?
Dinner Skinner.
Yeah. Better than Dunch.
Wasn't she in James Bond? Judi Dench?
Judi Dench.
That's a joke.
That was a Seinfeld episode when Janine Garofalo was Jerry's girlfriend, and he liked her because like they were the same person.
Oh.
But then like he liked how much they had in common, but she like had the same comedic style as him. And at one point she's like, he said something about getting lunch and or brunch or I don't know what. And she was like, why do they have brunch, but they don't have the thing between lunch and dinner? It's Dunch or Linner, and you see Jerry being like, no.
Yeah.
He broke up with her and he's like, I was dating myself. Why would I do that? I hate myself. Anyway.
Oh man.
That man. I don't know. I I'm one of those rare people that really didn't get into Jerry
Seinfeld.
Seinfeld.
I mean, I've seen every episode 9 times. So everything is a Seinfeld episode to me.
My wife loves it. She's always quoting scenes. It's like, ooh.
I have friends who I'm positive would think it was really funny. And they're like, I'm not interested, which I've done before. I've definitely done that before with a series or a movie that everyone's like, but it'll change your life. It's so good. And you're like, I just don't want to. I just think that there's so many Seinfeld references that have become part of like Soup Nazi. Like, does that mean anything to you? If you haven't seen
I
the
know
episode?
who it is, but like it's because Seinfeld just used to run on in the background when I was doing stuff.
Yeah.
But because I would just leave the TV running, and then it would be like 6 o'clock, and it would be running Seinfeld reruns. I don't know.
You just didn't think it was super funny, which is it's a certain kind of humor.
It's not that I thought some of it was funny, but I always thought that the show was just made up of those jokes, and it just wasn't funny at that point.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can't have, it's the whole thing about having like a meal that's one particular flavor. You want a variety of stuff.
Sure.
Like because if every meal's like that, then it gets. You can't always eat KFC for dinner.
Nor should you. Ooh, there's a KFC near me, and I haven't eaten there in a really long time. I don't like fried chicken, so it's nothing against KFC in particular. I'm just not gonna eat fried chicken. But they probably have other things that I would like.
I don't like fried chicken. I like the taste, but I just don't like the oil.
I would peel off the fried part and eat the chicken underneath, so there's no point.
If they could do breaded chicken like in a chain like that, I would try that.
Breaded chicken. That's what fried chicken is.
Yeah, I'm like, that's what I don't like. I want a roasted chicken, oven roasted. None of that fried stuff.
What do you mean breaded chicken? Like baked or something?
Yep.
Instead of fried?
Well,
yes.
So instead of dipped, I guess that would taste different. So what is, for anybody, I don't know if either of you have eaten at KFC recently, or I guess, I don't know.
I ate at a KFC /
but do they have like good sides? I mean, I used to go to Boston Market literally for the sides.
I really like the mashed potatoes with gravy.
Yeah.
But I don't like it an hour later.
There's a side KFC list on their website that every time I try to order it, they say they don't have it there. And I think it's green beans.
Oh, see, yeah. See, I like all the fried chicken sides in theory. I should probably just stick with the donut shop and stop patronizing all the fast food restaurants around me. But
there's nothing wrong with Boston Market. It's just
whatever happened to Boston Market.
They're still there.
Are they?
Yeah, I saw one the other day. I don't remember where though.
Okay. I thought that they had gone out of business, but maybe it's just because the locations that used to be
might have closed some stores, because I knew there was a period where they were just expanding all over the place.
I remember when they were shuttering some locations, and I probably just took that to mean that it was gone. But I used to really like their sides because it was like Thanksgiving light every day.
Can I get the stuffing and then the mac and cheese?
Yeah.
They give you those.
The first day we were living here because it was easy. I don't think it makes sense.
I'm still in that mode of the let's just do something close by instead of cooking at home because it's easier.
Yeah.
But now that I've cleaned my kitchen fully, I don't really have the excuse anymore.
Well, let me ask you, because you moved into a new place and you have ostensibly not a new kitchen, but new to you kitchen, do you feel compelled like, hey, I should try cooking?
Try cooking?
Like, do you say to yourself, now that I have a new, I'm in a new place or whatever, I should try cooking instead of eating out as an alternative? Like, I should just go to the grocery store, buy a bunch of stuff.
But
well, I mean, I did do that. I mean, I talk a lot about, my, Uber Eats orders, but it's like, I have always cooked, but I know what you mean. My kitchen now is my old kitchen was actually larger, but kind of outdated. And Yeah, the appliances they worked fine. You know, they cooked stuff fine. But my new kitchen is quite new, and the stove is kind of, you know, what I would consider fancy, compared to what I'm used to. And so, yeah, I'm kind of like, I'm excited to like try some new stuff, which is a nice feeling.
Yeah.
You know, the fridge is clean, the stove is clean, everything's new. I'm ready to make a pasta dish. I don't know what kind, but I'll figure it out.
Well, video folks, thanks for watching, and hope you enjoyed the show, and maybe we'll figure out what that pasta dish is for the audio listeners. Stick around.